Welcome to Sparks of History. Joining us today is Sacha Roytman-Dratwa, the CEO of the Combat Antisemitism Movement, and previously the head of advocacy at the World Jewish Congress. Thank you for being with us today, Mr. Roytman. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much for receiving me.
Just to get started, what is the Combat Antisemitism Movement, and what are your current efforts in the aftermath of the October 7th massacre and the current war?
Yes, thank you for the question. The Combat Antisemitism Movement is a platform for building coalitions from across the world in different levels. We build organization partnerships between interfaith non-Jewish organizations and Jewish organizations, where we believe this is where we can make the greatest impact. Jews on their own cannot win this fight, so this is the first understanding that we have in our organization. Second, we build leaders coalitions from the level of mayors and municipal leaders. Recently, and I will speak about it in a minute, we had a mayor conference both in Dortmund and in Florida, where we bring mayors from North America and Europe to discuss solutions on fighting anti-Semitism in cities. And we're working on a grassroots level to engage with as many as possible people for different campaigns, actions, and advocacy campaigns that we love to do. The last step is everything that we do is under the umbrella of a research center. We have a research center that provides us data, which is turned into data advocacy. So everything that we deal with is starting from data and information that allow us to understand the reality of what's happening and not just sentiment or feelings. So we are able really to identify trends where anti-Semitism is moving, changing, different forms, different format. At the end, the hate of Jews is always in the center, but you have different ideology associating themselves with anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. So we try to define them, to find them, and then to react. To your question about October 7, what has changed? So everything has changed. The first step as an interfaith coalition, we see that we lose a lot of allies that we were thinking that are our friends, that haven't stood up for the Jewish people, that haven't speak out. But on the other hand, we have new friends. We have people that defend human rights values across the world, and they see that what happened on October 7 is not acceptable. It's not acceptable to see what happened in the street of Europe and the United States, and it's not acceptable what happened on campuses, place of freedom of belief and freedom of thoughts, which have been definitely not accepted in the past year. So once we lost friends, second, we have new friends. Now, we have a big battle in front of us, and this is what we see of creating legitimacy for Israel to do its job as much as possible. So from a perspective of advocacy that was dealing only with Jewish communities worldwide, now we're dealing also with the Jewish community of Israel, which was in some case disconnected from our work because I'm Israeli, but the organization, the American organization, we never had to protect Israel. Israel had its own army, and now the Jewish community of Israel is also under threats from Hamas this time. So we need to help the Jewish community of Israel to defend itself like we help any community. So we adapt ourselves based on the needs globally. As a global organization, we look at every place where there is a Jew and a Jew attack as anti-Semitic attack. So the attacks on Jews in Israel are anti-Semitic attack, and we try really to demonstrate to the world the nature of October 7 attack, which is an anti-Semitic attack, and not just conflict zones, which we deeply believe it's not, especially when you see support across the world. So we do a lot of work on campuses, and I think that we have been helping a little bit with the hearing that we saw last week in the Congress. I think that was a very important move. And we see with the president of UPenn that resigned, and we see the pressure on Harvard and MIT and other universities. So we're going to work very hard in this space, not to call on to resign and everything. This is a process, it's a long-term process. So the resigning is, first of all, I don't think we need to celebrate. There's so many Jewish organizations that celebrate. It's a dark moment in the American history of universities. The soft power of the United States and the fact that excellency has disappeared from the language of our universities it's a problem. So the fact that we have a president that needs to resign because of mistreatment of some of the students, it's a very sad episode in America and not a celebration, because I see many Jewish advocacy organizations that are celebrating this. No, we are not celebrating. It's something that has to be done, but we are very sad that we get to this point. And by the way, it's something that we've been saying for the past decade. So
you weren't surprised. You weren't surprised by the events that happened on college campuses, or maybe surprised by the intensity of it. How did we get here? How did college campuses get to this point? And if you can speak a little bit more about what exactly you're trying to do now on the college campuses.
So I think the problem, there are a few sources, and I think that the more you speak with organizations, they can identify other sources, but the main ones that I can identify directly, the funding is in many places dictating the tones and the strategies and what a university wants to do. So when you have all the Middle East studies university that receive billions of dollars, and I think that one of the Jewish group did a research, they're speaking about $7 billion in the past decades that came into the American system, a university system of Ivy Leagues, only Ivy Leagues, on this topic from Qatar. Now, these fundings create and appoint. They first appoint a professor that will lead them. So they bring their own ideology, they allow certain discussion, research, then they build buildings, they bring students. Obviously, you have agreements of students between the country, and then universities are compromising a little bit on their values. That's the first step. So you have a compromise on the values because of funding. Then you have everything related to trying to make university universal for everyone, which is a good thing to do, but then they compromise on excellency for the sake of bringing more voices in the student bodies, to bringing more people. But it doesn't mean that everyone that are today in university system are answering, responding to excellency that the American system has built. And I think that if we try to bring back the values of the American soft power from university, is making sure that excellency is the top and number one value that will make and accept students, will make accept funding, will make accept everything that the university is standing for, to make sure to protect the world of universities in America. I think the progressive world has been, which is a wonderful value, progressive values, and have nothing against them, but they went too far by accepting everything and not judging the excellencies of everyone. And excellence is everything for us. Because when you have an excellent person in your way of life and your academic process, then probably you will be a good person. And I think that the university model of the United States created in the past excellent human beings, excellent leaders, excellent professors, and today a bit less because they compromised to type into this narrative of oppressor and oppressed, and putting Jews as oppressors. And the American university system and the European one as well, so let's not just look at America as one problem. They offer more space for the oppressors, and they put on the side the opposite, for the oppressed and the oppressors on the side. Now they decide who is the oppressor and the oppressed. And you know, I'm living in Israel, kind of. I see what is an oppressor and oppressed. Like, we're fighting here in Israel since day one when the country was created, for education of our families, for pushing our society forward. Even now, after October 7, the Israeli society wants to succeed. They want the high-tech industry to grow. They want the university to go back on track. And as a father, I'm always thinking, I have two kids, and I'm thinking, oh, what I'm telling them about the conflict. And it's a big struggle in my mind because I don't want to create more hatred. And I was thinking the other day, what a Palestinian father is telling to his kids. To hate the Jews, to like the Jews, don't pay attention, deal with your life, grow, and let's build a better world. And I'm probably sure that you all know the answer. They're not thinking like us, or at least not like me. So this is the big difference. We try here in Israel to build a society of peace, a society of creativity, of exchange, as well we respect our own values and history. While on the other side, we have totally the opposite. And we have a society that tries to educate for hatred and others. I will just get to a last point. We speak a lot now these days about who's going to lead the Gaza rebuilding system. And we speak a lot about the Palestinian Authority. And I have to say to everyone, the moment that you're going to have street names representing terrorists, we cannot let anyone to lead another Gaza to get to the same point than what it was before. The Palestinian Authority is not equipped today to lead a society for good. It's not equipped to help the Palestinian people to get out of the terror system and circle they've been through in the past 75 years. And we need to find another way for the Palestinian people to be educated and to put the terror on the side and to stop. It starts from the streets, then it moved to educational and curriculum, then it moved to university system that have been used by Hamas and by the PA for their own propaganda. And I really, really hope that we're going to see this time as an opportunity, both here in the Middle East. Now we destruct and we eradicate Hamas. The world should see it, and many, many leaders sees it. This is why, beside the UN, the world is not screaming stop and call for ceasefire. So we have calls here and there, but at the end of the day, the world understands that Hamas should be eradicated. And hopefully this will impact also Europe and United States and the university system that is gone too far. Now we need to find something in the middle. Like, we're not going to change back to what it was before, like 50 years ago. I don't know that we want that, but we need to find a place where Jews will be accepted again, like any other minority, and we are a minority. That the Zionism is a part of the Jewish identity in college campuses. So this is one of the biggest items that we are fighting for. That Zionism is a part of the Jewish identity. This is why we're praying toward Jerusalem in the past 3,000 years. So now you want to remove the direction of our prayers from who we are. That doesn't make sense. That's a Jewish value. That's not a Zionist, post-Zionist value. That's just, the Zionism is simple, our own history. And I think the fight here is kind of allowing Jews to be Zionists without having any criticism of Zionism. I think that this is very important, and this is protected under Title VI. So we're fighting for that, to not have Jews attacked based on their own history and values. And this is who we are. We are Jews. We are Zionism. And we are Zionists, and I think we should be accept, period, and not debate that anymore. So that will be a big fight for us in the next months, to make sure that the Jewish and Zionist identity are recognized as one, and not be challenged. And hopefully to make sure that slogan like "from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," which are call for genocide, intifada, call for genocide, will not be accepted. And if you remember me in the hearing of the presidents in Congress, they were all saying, depends on the context. So the context of October 7 was very clear. They want to commit a genocide against Jews. You have the context, period. Don't allow this slogan on campuses. And understand that the context is important. I understand freedom of speech as being one of the most important values of the American society. But when you have the context from October 7, then you need to stop. Now, I will just end by saying you didn't need October 7 to have the context. It was in the book, in the Charter of Hamas. It was in the payment that the Palestinian Authority was giving to terrorists. It was everywhere. The context existed before. Now they needed the proof. You have them. Now it's time to change. And hopefully the world will see this as an opportunity to change, to rebuild a Palestinian society, to regain the control of our university system, and also to regain the control of the Jewish identity and to be pro-Jews, pro-Zionist, without any questioning about the Jewish identity, because the world has been questioning us too much, and we need to regain this debate inside the Jewish community and outside.
Just tell me a little bit in conclusion, a little bit about the activities with the non-Jewish world, and especially with the Muslim Islamic world.
Yes. It's a very challenging discussion, because we have many partners that these days they are under threats and they don't want to speak out, but they send us messaging, and they are communicating with us and we understand them totally. We don't want to risk their life. But the other hand, we have wonderful leaders that we're working with, and I will use some example. We've been working the past years to build relationships with different organizations in the United States, Muslim organization. We have a Muslim women organization called AMWEC, who's led by a lady called Anila Ali. She went to a delegation to Israel 10 days ago. We brought her with 7 other Muslim women that came here. They visit the South. They met with victims. They met with families of hostages. They met with the First Lady of Israel, the wife of the president, and other people. And the support they share was amazing. And they scream, and they were out there saying, "This is not in our name. This is not in the name of Islam." We have very good relationship with friends in Dubai and other place in Abu Dhabi and Dubai that are speaking with us, that we have met recently in the post-October 7. They just don't want to go public too much at this stage because they don't want to face the threat. And I think this is one of the main problem, that we have a lot of Muslim voices ready to support Israel, but the intimidation that they need to go through right now to speak out publicly, it's very hard, it's very big, and it's dangerous. So these are more on the public leadership, but you will find some of them that are not worried. They speak out, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, and are very impressive. So I think that one element that the Jewish world needs to learn is to protect our allies. We're asking them to protect us, but we don't stand up for them enough when they need. And this is really what will change for us on the post-October 7, because we took some relationship too much for granted. We lose some friends, not because of us, by the way, really not. But we want to make sure that our friends know that we are here for them, because some of them have been here for us. The fact they came here, they supported us was amazing. Now the Islamist world has been divided, first between the Shia and the Sunni, which is clear. With the Shia leaders, it's very hard to find good allies any place in the world. They are smaller. And the Sunni, you have the modern Arab nations. That's, you don't see huge anti-Israeli demonstration. You see a control of the regime that wants to be pro-Western world, pro-Israel. They don't speak out, but you see a very big change in the leadership of the Arab world. Obviously, the street is more pro-Palestinian. We totally understand. The street is totally anti-Semitic, and we totally understand, but there is a change. The media is not bad as it was in previous conflicts, so we really see more criticism of what Hamas did and the support of Hamas received. In many cases, because it's not in the name of Islam, it went too far. Hamas went too far in his ISIS Nazi pogrom they committed. And even against ISIS, most of the Muslim world was against ISIS. So I think that when the real face of Hamas was revealed to the world, then the world didn't accept it. Now, you have the streets, and the street is more complicated than us. They don't really understand. And I remember seeing this video of this lady, from the mountain to the sea, Palestine would be free. And like, they don't know what they speak about. And this is education. I believe that most of Muslims in the world don't believe in the crimes of October 7. We feel very frustrated that they didn't speak out. And we feel that they should have, in this time of history, speak much more. But yes, the Islamic Muslim Brotherhood is still very present, very strong, control the narrative, export the conflict. So we see a lot of social media are playing a big role there to enrage the streets, and this is why the street is different than the leaders. And I believe at the end of the day, if we can control a bit more social media narrative, and I think that today is not about freedom of speech, because we have Jews attacked. It's about protecting Jewish life across the world and Western values as well. They need to play a role to not allow hate speech to be everywhere, and it is everywhere. I'm still an optimist person. This is my.
I was going to ask if you're pessimistic or optimistic, but you just said.
I cannot be otherwise, because if not, we lose the battle. And this is my age, my generation. We need to fight. We need to find allies, but we cannot be naive anymore. And I think that many people have been naive about the Hamas charter, about these pro-Palestinian organization on campuses. They didn't listen to the slogan. They didn't believe that from the words to action, it's possible to do that. And we cannot accept anymore, in any level of our society, hate against Jews. We have been trying to convince, we've tried to explain. We don't need to convince, we don't need to explain. We don't accept, period. Zero tolerance narrative should be implemented from the Jewish organization. From a simple criticism of Zionism to a direct attack on Jews, we cannot accept any level of anti-Semitism in any level of our society. So that's the first change that we need to see in every Jewish organization. So I'm an optimist, but I know that the tools that we've been using have to change. The hearing on Congress, we needed to wait so long to have it. We shouldn't wait anymore. Something is happening, we need to bring people and to judge them, and they need to respond to what they allow to happen in their campuses. Like what we've seen, and I'm speaking for Europe and United States, but it's a violation of their own citizens. These are Americans or Europeans, are under attack, they should be protected, period. It's not a question of freedom of speech. These people don't feel safe, and safety, it's a basic human right. And I think that this is really needs to change. And I believe at the end of our history until now, the good side of history has won. If not, we'll not have been here as Jews, especially as Jews. Now, the price that we paid in our history was very, very heavy. I think that we can work together to not pay any similar price. And I think that the price that we pay from October 7 till today was the heaviest price that we were ready to pay in our modern history, and we shouldn't accept any more dead Jew around the world, including in Israel. And we need to fight together. I hope that the world will choose again the right side of history. Maybe it will be painful in Europe when we have massive Muslim immigration, Islamist immigration that is controlling the debate and the narrative on Israel and the Jewish identity. But the European nations needs to wake up. They need to stand up for their own values, Western values, and to have a strong message of hope, even to the immigration population. You want to stay, we don't mind. But this is our rules, and this is what we don't want you to cross. If you want to cross them, you're welcome to go back in your country, but we've been like, Europe has suffered, United States has suffered from wars to build what they have today. We don't need another war in our countries, in our societies. And I think since the World War II, the Western world has proved to welcome more ideology, has proved that it can change, it can adapt itself, but it cannot compromise anymore. I think that there are values that need to be respected, the Judeo-Christian values from the Western world, which represent evolution, revolution, creativity, and respect. And everyone have a place in all societies. I really believe you can be a religious Jew. And you know, I'm a Jew myself, and we're going to the synagogue in Brussels. And we're praying for our country, the hosting country. Every week on Shabbat, we had a prayer for Belgium because they were hosting the Jews, and we're grateful for that. And I hope that every immigrants in every hosting country will do the same, will respect the country that is hosting their religion, their belief, their identity. And I think that we can build a better world. But for that, we need to fight. That's nice words, like this is all we do as Jews. And this is why I think that we don't deserve anything, because we're really respecting the places where we go. And something that I've seen in the American jury, they are first American and then they are Jews. They are proud Americans, proud. They are Jewish Americans, American Jews, and it's beautiful because they respect, they love the flag of the United States, they love the Constitution. And hopefully more immigrants can see how Jews have been integrated in different societies because they've been fighting for their own identity and for their hosting countries. And I think this is key for success. The new immigration should learn about the old immigration to see how they did it. And not to be jealous, not to attack them for their success, to see how they made it. Because they can learn from us and they can all succeed if they try to see how hard we fight to be where we are. And we're going to continue to fight harder. And hopefully Jews, young generation, old generation will be joining us in this fight, and continue and be strong. I think that we need strong Jews that will not compromise on their values and their identity. We'll continue to study, to go in this Ivy League university, continue to fight. Education is the key of everything, Jewish education, academic education, every education is important in our values, and this is really what we believe in. And we're going to continue and build more allies and friendship with non-Jewish partners. So this is a lot of our work. So hopefully I share a little bit of my vision, my work, but happy to take more questions.
Okay, no, I think again this has been very insightful and hopeful, optimistic and hopeful, and Combat Anti-Semitism Movement led by Sacha Roytman-Dratwa. And again, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.